Mucho obrigado. Un beso.
De nada.
Un beijo, un beijo.
Learn Portuguese, Ansel.
You wish to be a crime reporter in Japan. Why?
Hi, JT. Hi, Ansel. How are you guys?
Well,
Good to see you.
how are you?
Good. I love Tokyo Vice. I think it's the first time I see like Japan as a character in a story, and I love to know different cultures. And I think the TV show shows a lot of that. The first question I have, Ansel, did you have to learn Japanese to the character? How was that?
Yeah, it was my pleasure to learn Japanese. Next, I have to learn Portuguese. But it was, yeah, I just kind of got thrown into it, you know, being able to live in Japan, film in Japan. I spent almost like a year there on and off. I had a great sensei who we did every day 4 hours of language training. And then I would just go out into the street and try to talk to as many people as I could. And just, yeah, it was a total blast.
この国じゃ分野は嫌われてる。優秀なやつは特にな。
優秀な新聞記者は敵が多いってことですね。
敵のいねえ男は男じゃねえ。
Did you already knew the story of Jake Edelstein?
No, Jake Edelstein, who wrote the book, which the series I created was based on, is my lifelong childhood friend. So I've known him most of my life. And I got pulled into the story when all of his closest friends were threatened by the Yakuza because he discovered a dark secret. I was one of the friends that got threatened. So that's how I was pulled into the story.
Oh, you were already in the project when they announced, like, as a movie in 2013 with Daniel Radcliffe.
I wrote the movie. I've written everything.
I remember the movie.
But it's I would have loved to have made the movie with Daniel. He was, you know, and how fascinatingly different that would be, right, than from Ansel. But as a work of fiction, you know, for the screen, it's turned out to be a blessing in disguise because the time and the space to work on this over 8 hours is really, it gives it a deepness and a richness that we couldn't have done in a movie, in a 2-hour film.
And so for you, it's more challenge to create a character or play someone real like Jake.
Well, for us, you know, because JT had, you know, he wanted to make it his own interpretation, the way that a director does a play. You know, JT took that book and said, this is my version of it. And I took Jake and said, this is my version of who Jake is, along with all our other great collaborators like Michael Mann and Alan Poole. So yeah, I really liked creating who this guy was. I took obviously aspects of who I am, very driven person. I sometimes, you know, in certain situations, like I can defy authority. I'm sure JT knows that. And I, you know, just want things to be as good as they could be and want to push for the truth and want to push for justice. And yeah, I really went for that with this character. Wanted it to be as real as possible, so that the audience felt immersed and felt like, you know, I think one thing we all wanted was for the show to feel as real as possible, not for it to be like a, you know, slick version of Japan, but rather a real gritty, rooted version of Japan and the characters in the show as well.
死ぬ気でやるか一生負けんのままか決めんのはお前だ
JT, you wrote so many multiple award-winning plays, but this is your first TV show. For you, how challenging was and how hard for you to revive the story? Were you afraid?
Well, it was a huge challenge. I mean, I think one of the things that's great for Ansel and myself looking back on is this was my first time creating and show running a series. It's Ansel's first time doing a show in a second language and doing an 8-hour performance. So I think, you know, we sort of lashed ourselves to each other and said, okay, we got to get through this together. And that was thrilling to have a partner in that. I was not afraid because two things, you know, the show was set 20 years ago and the Yakuza are much more powerful, more forward in the culture in Japan, the way they'd say 20 years early in the States. In New York, let's say, the mafia had much more power and were more forward in American culture. So there was no sense of threat. But the challenge was to make it as real as possible so that a Japanese audience would say, my gosh, that's exactly, a Japanese ex-gangster would say that's authentic. A Japanese cop would say it's authentic. A Japanese newspaper would say it's authentic. That's the audience for me in making this show, is the people who would, the one person out of 1,000 in a movie theater that would be an expert would say, yes, that's true. And that was our goal.
And so for you, what audiences can expect from Tokyo Vice?
It's basically, it's 90s Tokyo, and I play an investigative journalist who is investigating into the Yakuza, and which is like the Japanese mob. And Ken Watanabe, who's like the most legendary Japanese actor, he plays a cop. You can expect a mystery. You can expect also very funny moments, scary moments, and visually just an incredible show like you've never seen before.
Thank you, guys. Gente, muito obrigado. Grande beijo do Brasil.
Muito obrigado. Beso.
De nada.
Beijo.
Learn Portuguese, Ansel. You're good.
Next, I gotta do Portuguese. Can you pick a show for me, please? Bye-bye.
Ciao, ciao, Ansel.
Don't write about this.